Hi, I'm Deborah.
And I'm Lawrence.
And in this video, we're going to talk about what some good gifts are for people with depression.
Because everybody likes gifts, and people with depression probably need them more than the rest of us.
That's probably true. There are several gifts that we are not going to suggest because you're going to see these in every other video. The first one is a candle. Okay. Candles are nice, but...
Except, like, maybe aromatherapy, if that's, like, your thing, maybe.
The reason we're not talking about these is because all these other ones, they're not original, they're not helpful. You'll see them in a million other places. A journal, except for we're actually going to talk about a really special journal. But just a regular plain journal, no, we're not going to talk about that.
No, that's not, like, something that...
we're not going to suggest socks.
As nice as
socks
they are.
Socks are nice. Yeah. And we're not going to...
They aren't going to help your depression.
And we're not going to suggest a blanket. Well, these aren't gifts that have to help depression. I know. They're just gifts that people with depression would appreciate.
Enjoy or appreciate.
Yeah. So we're going to go in by order of like cheapest to most expensive. Although some of these that even though are more expensive, there are ways that you can still give the present, just not buying it outright. So so even if you think we might have exceeded your allowance or your amount of money you can spend, then just keep watching because we have some good alternative ideas. So the first thing that we're going to suggest, and this is not totally original, but it's time spent together. But this is something that they do need, and it is something that they'll appreciate. So you could do some of those coupon books where it's going out to coffee, a coupon. And just bear in mind that it's kind of more it's kind of more just to have something to give to them, because if they're depressed, the chances are that you're actually going to have to call them up and say, let's go out for coffee. So they're not going to look at the coupon book and say, hey, you know what? So-and-so said that, gave me this coupon book. I'm going to let them know I want to go out for coffee. Chances are they're not going to do that.
And so, in some cases, yeah, I mean, human interaction helped me when I was going through my serious depression. I was really glad to be able to spend time with people. Yeah, that's kind of just a general thing.
They will appreciate it, but they won't initiate it. So a coupon book idea is just to say, hey, here's some things that we're going to do. But don't wait around for them to contact you and say, hey, I want to use one of those coupons. So the first thing we're going to talk about is by an artist called The Latest Kate. But she
makes nice stickers.
Well, she does drawings of animals, and they have really good affirmations. And normally I'm someone who hates affirmations.
These are really nice.
So this book is fantastic. So it's a journal. It's called "It's Your Weirdness That Makes You Wonderful," a self-acceptance prompt journal. And so what makes it different from a regular journal is that it's really kind of more like a workbook. So it's not just a blank page, which is really kind of difficult sometimes for people with depression. I mean, there's really some great stuff in it. And I think probably the best way, the page that it describes it the best is that says, we're going to look at all sides of ourselves, both the ugly and the pretty, and learn to be okay with all of it. And you can only get there if you feel safe doing it. So anyway, the journal is like your safe place. And it's got just tons of, it's got drawings and it's got questions, so it's really more like a workbook than just a plain journal.
I didn't read through every single page, but like I skimmed most of it. I personally thought it was pretty good. Yeah. That's just me, but I thought it was pretty good.
So it's really great. It just came out. It's actually at Target, but you can get it online. I got it on Target.com. Now, if you just want a blank journal, The Latest Kate also in her online shop, their Redbubble shop, has some really great ones that you can give people. This one is one of my most favorite. It's Stop Calling Yourself a Shit, You're a Blueberry Fairy Princess. I just thought it was so funny. Jesus. And she also has some stickers, which are something fun to put in.
There are lots of people who care about you and wish you well.
Yeah. Yeah, she has some really great stickers. that's a blank journal. And also this book is, I think is fantastic, called You Can Do All Things. And it's a lot of her, it's not only her drawings with the affirmations, but it's really well organized, and it's got some really interesting, it's got some really interesting things she's learned over the years, gone through a journey and accepting herself. And the other thing that's really good is it's organized really well. So it's organized by how you're feeling. So I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling inadequate. I'm feeling down on myself.
I need this.
And so then you just go to that particular section, and so all the drawings and affirmations.
Only problem, there aren't page numbers.
It's not that hard to find it. But that's a great book for someone who has depression and or anxiety. So we definitely highly recommend that.
So the next thing we have is a book by Jennifer Lawson called Furiously Happy. Now, I'd say any book with a cover, it's a picture of a taxidermied raccoon with its arms up, with a huge smile on its face.
Jazz hands.
With
it actually exists.
Gold kind of
the
glittery
gold,
looking stuff into the cover. I'd say any book with that kind of cover, masterpiece. And it is. I've had a really good time reading it. And my mom seems to think. Now, granted,
the reason he read it was because
hilarious.
PG&E turned our power out for 2 days, but still,
yes, thanks for that, PG&E.
He did read. I think almost the whole thing in
the majority
like 6
of it.
hours. Oh yeah, so there was this one part about,
here it is
about the raccoon, and I was reading it to my husband, to Lawrence's father, and I was laughing so hard I had
laughing.
Tears running down my face. It was so funny. Now, granted, let's just point out that this person has to have a sense of humor that you give this to, and they need to have a slightly twisted, slightly dark sense of humor at the very least, if not more dark than twisted. But chances are, if they have depression, they are probably able to appreciate that sense of humor.
Let me just read a small excerpt. Last night, I realized that Rory, the name of the raccoon, was perfectly suited to ride on the cats as if they were small furry horses and he was a rodeo star. But apparently the cats didn't realize how awesome it would be, and so they were incredibly uncooperative. I tried to create a photo montage of Rory the rodeo raccoon, but they weren't having it. I suspect if my cats had Instagram, they'd be all over this, but they don't, so they couldn't be bothered. I'd perch Rory on their backs, and they'd stand still for a second, but by the time I'd backed up and gotten them in focus, they'd turn around, be like, what are you doing? Why is there a raccoon on my back? Why do they even let you be in charge of things? And then they just flop on their sides like a bunch of ingrates who don't understand art. Rory would gently tumble to the floor, which I suspect sent the cats mixed messages because he was still waving his arms in the air like he just didn't care, as if he were celebrating the cats being assholes. And I was like, you're killing me, Smalls. Then he just celebrated the fact that I was frustrated. Honestly, it is impossible to stay mad at that raccoon.
Now, one thing to understand is that she suffers from depression and anxiety,
and a number of other issues.
Yeah, she actually has a full spectrum of mental illness, and but she a lot of the writing is funny. Some of it is not funny. It's not so funny, but it's all good.
It is. It's a fantastic book. Yeah. Honestly, I don't read much anymore. The only thing I recently read Ready Player One for like the 5th time, but honestly, I've had a really good time reading this book.
Yeah, he just absolutely was completely absorbed in it. Yeah. So, and continuing along with the books is a book called, well, you know this better than me.
You Suck at Cooking. Now, at first glance, why would you give a book called You Suck at Cooking to somebody with depression?
But it's actually really well written. It's got it's
I haven't
really
read through
starting
it,
from scratch. So and the recipes are all good for someone who doesn't want something incredibly complicated
Well, I mean, like maple baked salmon. That's one that is.
But
difficult.
They really run the spectrum. So there are some really simple ones, and then they get more complicated. Or there are recipes that are more complicated, but everything's very clearly laid out. Plus, the person has a YouTube channel who wrote this.
And it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, so someone with depression will probably really appreciate this, especially if they don't have the money to order Uber Eats every night. And you know.
And here's the thing. The YouTube channel, I just want to speak on that. We'll leave a link to it in the description because I don't want to have to make her bleep it. Even though I want to make her life more difficult, but I won't. Anyways, sorry. His channel is amazing. I love it. It is, it's a cooking show, but it also has elements of comedy. It's beautiful. And I mean, yeah, with the recipes, it can go from like the loaded cauliflower bake, 3 cups bite-sized chunks cauliflower, 1 yellow bell pepper, 2 scallions, half can of black beans. Like there's stuff that has a bunch of ingredients.
Yeah, but there are other recipes that have just 2 or 3.
And then there's caramelized peaches with vanilla ice cream, 1 tablespoon unsalted butter, 2 peaches diced, 2 teaspoons brown sugar, 2 scoops vanilla ice cream.
But
that's it.
However, there's a lot of instruction and
look at this. It's 2 steps. No, that's just a blurb about the recipe.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that there's a lot of it's the writing is really good.
This isn't instructions. You realize that?
I know, I realize that, but it's a good. Just trust me, it's a good cookbook.
There's literally 2 steps in this.
And looked at many cookbooks over the years, and it's a good cookbook.
There are 2 steps in this recipe.
Yeah, it's a good cookbook.
I love it.
Yeah.
Diet ice pops.
It's frozen. It's ice.
It's just 2 cups of water.
But it's not. That's I mean. So the next idea is to get them a pill case, and this really made a huge difference for me because, for one thing, I'm not a morning person, and putting together like every morning. Putting together from various bottles, taking out what pills and trying to remember which. And then, sometime during the day saying, did I take my medicine? This one's AM and PM. And it's huge because I also take probiotics and multivitamins. And so I need a really big one. But you don't have to get one like this. But if they don't have one and they forget their medicine a lot, it's you can get a small one, or you can get a really complicated, fancy one that's computerized and has alarms and all this stuff. But so it's something to consider for someone who has depression and or anxiety and has medications to take, and especially because when you have depression, it can affect your cognitive abilities. So, the chances are they could forget their medicine. And if they're taking antidepressants especially, it's really important that they take their medicine. So anyway, consider giving them a pill case. Another thing that you might consider giving someone with depression is a subscription box like Buddy
Box or
Mindwander. Now, Mindwander...
Not TheraBox.
Not TheraBox. But Mindwater, just FYI, it is marketed as a mental health subscription box for women. There is a Facebook group, and I guess it's just how they want to, how they want to market it. But Buddy Box is for everyone. It's great. We've done videos on both of them, and so you can find them in our videos list. And reviews and unboxings of them. And so you can either get just a 1 box. I think for both of them, you can get either just 1 box. You can get 3 months. They have various plans, and we'll put the links down below to their websites. The next suggestion is to get them food gift cards, or get them Uber Eats gift cards or something like that. So I mean, there's a good chance that they, if they have depression, that they're having trouble, getting meals together, and they're maybe not eating very well. And, so it's also a good way for them to treat themselves. Now, the low cost...
there's like, those ones like Blue Apron or whatever. The
Well, that you have
ones...
to cook yourself.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Damn.
But like food gift cards that they can just order the food and have it delivered and stuff like that. Now the low cost version of that, if you like to cook, or if you can cook, is to create your own meal service, and tell them, maybe do another coupon book, and tell them that you're going to just drop off, let's say, a meal once a week for a month or something, and let them know that they don't have to entertain you, that you're literally just going to drop it off. That way that takes the pressure off them to make it into a social occasion and entertain you, and then they're getting a meal made for them, and it's something they'll probably really appreciate. The other thing is kind of along the same lines, is either paying for a cleaning service, like a one-time thing, if that's something you can afford, or maybe more often if you can afford that, or do it yourself. Like, again, do like a certificate or something saying good for one cleaning of your apartment, house,
or
whatever.
just like come over and be like, hey, I'll clean your house.
But you're giving it as a present.
Then
you're giving it as a present,
also,
right?
And yeah, I guess. And then you can also use it as as a opportunity to interact with them, because human interaction, as I said, is also can be most of the time very helpful. Just
make it clear that they don't have to do anything. Also, I would recommend bringing probably your own cleaning stuff, because just in case they haven't been really good about getting stuff, and let them know they don't have to do it. But it's something that most people with depression need, because generally their places, they let things go because it's just too difficult.
Take a look at my room in the past. Well, room in the present. Ruin always.
No, it used to be a lot neater.
Yeah, I guess.
If not clean.
Anyways, yeah, but it is a good idea, because as she said, there's a good chance they haven't been really taking care of their place, and it's probably
it's possible they can barely take care of themselves. So
true.
Their place is not, is something they definitely let go, especially if they're not having people over very much. And the next suggestion is to buy them some nice, comfy clothes. So if they're hanging out a lot at home,
I know we said don't get socks, but like,
yeah, no, this is different.
This is different.
Yeah. So in other words, they're probably spending a lot of time at home, because they're probably not socializing a lot. And but if you end up just wearing like these ratty sweatpants, over and over,
like me right now,
and you're depressed, you kind of end up feeling like a loser. So get them.
I can relate.
Yeah. So get them some nice quality, comfy clothes. So depending on what you can afford, you can start off with something like Old Navy. They actually have a whole section on their website that's loungewear/sleepwear, and you can start with that. And then I'm going to put links below to more expensive, slightly more expensive, and then more expensive places. So depending on your budget, you can either get them something like Old Navy price, or nicer. Next thing to consider getting them is a sunrise clock. That's something that I have, and we gave your old one, but you don't really use it like that, right?
Yeah, I just use it as a clock.
I have a lot of trouble waking up in the morning, especially when it's dark in the winter. And these clocks, what they do is they gradually
raise. There's a light in it, and it gradually
the level of light.
goes up.
So that when you wake up, by the time you actually want the alarm to go off, the room has light in it. And it's really good, especially for people with depression, because it can be really hard for them to get out of bed. And if it's exacerbated by it being dark outside, this at least will take care of that problem. And finally, what you might want to do also is watch our video about cocooning. So a lot of people who have depression, what they do is they end up cocooning, and they just stay, except for work or school, whatever, they just stay at their place. And if their place is depressing in any way, if it needs more lighting, if it maybe needs more plants, if it needs nicer curtains or curtains per period, then that's something, watch the video about cocooning and getting your place ready for cocooning. and then see what maybe you could contribute to their place, to make it a nicer, cozier place for them to cocoon in.
I mean, like, I do that whenever I'm, like, usually just now these days, since my depression has gone into remission, I mostly just do it when I'm tired, but I, like, wrap myself in a blanket and kind of just sit at my computer, and it's really nice. I know that's more literal because it's, like, kind of just wrapping myself up.
But, I mean, it's so...
That kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, these are you know, just basically, you know, you can find things that will make their place nicer and cozier and make it feel a little less desperate for them to be cocooning and more of a choice, you know, to be in their place.
Less like a crack den, more like a crack mansion.
Okay.
Okay, not quite the terminology I want. Was that should be used, but
okay.
All right. Anyway,
we hope this video has been helpful, and we are going to do a video on gifts for people with anxiety. So keep an eye out for that. And
continue.
Anyway, if it has been helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing.
And if you want to say anything, you can leave it in the comments.
And especially if you have any ideas of gifts to give people
that
with depression.
would actually be helpful.
Yeah, it'd be helpful for other people, you know, if there's anything we didn't think of. So, you know, that would be great.
All right.
Seriously?
Yeah, I've been filling with that the whole day. Anyways, we hope you have a good day. See you later.
Take care.